Minus. 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 Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am in a 2017 Infiniti QX60. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6. Down below is a 7-speed automatic gearbox. So let's talk about the 3.5 liter V6. Well, it's a smaller engine than I really thought was going to be in this car. I mean, I thought that since they had the 3.0 liter twin turbo from the Q50, which I'll be referencing the Q50, which I reviewed a little while ago. I'll be referencing the Q50 a lot. I thought that since they had the twin turbo, they'd at least turbo this or, give it that sort of engine or something similar to that, but it is a 3.5 liter V6. That being said, it has snow, eco, regular, or sport mode, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So what we're going to do is throw it into sport mode, and we'll see what happens. Oh, it really holds on to those gears, but not a whole lot. I mean, really, this thing is not performance driven in any way. Now, the interesting thing is, since I have it in sport mode right now, I'll put it back to normal mode. But when you put it into eco mode, the pedal actually gets stiffer. It's weird. It feels like something's either like under the pedal, but it gets harder to push. It gives you resistance when it's in eco mode. I guess that could be sort of a gas saver of like, hey, slow it down, don't mash the gas everywhere you go, but it feels weird. It doesn't feel right. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have gauges that have this sort of rippling silver around them. Nothing special, but they do seem really far away from me, which is kind of weird. In the center, I get a little monitor showing the car that I'm in with my miles still empty and current outside temperature. That little indicator in between the gauges that shows your car will actually tell you if you're going over the lane or whatnot, which is really nice if you're tired driving or just not paying attention. It'll actually tell you when you cross over the line. Down to the left and below the steering wheel, there is the power tailgate, heated steering wheel, traction control off, that sort of thing. It's a little switch panel down below. The steering wheel, on the right, I have cruise control settings, and on the left, I have auditory and phone settings. Although the steering wheel to me does look it looks dated to me. It kind of looks like a steering wheel you'd find out of a 2007 Infiniti. In the center, I get one giant screen that shows me my auditory or my audio settings or my map. Unfortunately, unlike the Q50, I don't get both. I can only look at my map or look at audio. Down below that, I have basic climate control. Down below that, I have the navigational tools for the center screen. That's the backup camera, which it has one, navigation, audio, map, apps, status, setting, info, voice back, and then your selector, along with some other basic heating and cooling for either side of the cabin. Finishing off the center console, I have a CD player. Yes, a CD player in 2017. A car that still smells of brand new leather has a CD player. Down around the shifter, well, obviously I get the shifter, which has the Infiniti logo on it, which I thought was kind of interesting. But then I have my knob for sport mode, eco mode, snow mode, that sort of thing. And then I have two dials for the heated and cooled seats. So let's throw the cooled seats on. Cooled seats are very weird. I don't know how I feel about them. I'm sure that they're great in the super hot weather, but right now it's 72 degrees. I mean, that is perfect temperature, and it just feels weird. The center console actually has two different compartments, an upper and a lower, which are nicely labeled by Infiniti, so you don't just pull a random one and have to kind of figure out what's in what. How could I forget it? You guys know I can't forget it. This car not only has one sunroof, but two sunroofs. Two sunroofs. One from front, one in the rear. The rear seats also get heated seats and a USB port, which is strictly a USB port for charging, which is interesting that they just put that in there. It's not a cigarette lighter. It's not a little whatever you want to call that you have to then plug a dongle into. It's just a USB charging port, which is actually really nice for the back seats. Speaking of the back seats, this is a 3-row car. It has 3 rows of seating, which is very nice, although the legroom in the furthest back is a little cramped. This isn't a Ford Excursion. I mean, it's going to be down on a little room. Yes, you can move the second row forward to then give that third row a little bit more space, but then the second row might start to get a little cramped, so it's kind of a toss-up there. So the second row isn't bad. I have heated seats back here. Like I said, I have that charging port, and I have my own climate controls, which is very nice. It's a reasonably comfortable back seat. The actual bolsters aren't the most comfortable, but it's a functional back seat, and I do have 2 speakers in either door. It's going to be more comfortable than your run-of-the-mill Ford Escape. Alright, so this is where it starts to get a little bit cramped. Being a 5'11" guy, leg room is not great, but if you have a kid, if you're shuttling kids to soccer practice or whatnot, you could fit them back here. They would actually probably be pretty helpful. And I'm noticing on either side, left and right, I have another USB charging port, which is awesome. Everyone in the car gets a charging port, which can be very helpful on road trips. No one has to fight over chargers anymore. I have blind spot monitors, but the light for them is on the inside. It's right on the inside of the mirror. It's not on the mirror, which the mirrors are heated. It's not on the mirror. It's actually inside the cabin, kind of where the mirror meets the door. Another interesting thing is that these seatbelts are kind of power. Well, I'll demonstrate for you. So, my seatbelt is on. I'm just gonna unclick it. Boom. Then, when I go to put it on, click it, and it tightens. Really nice. It seems kind of gimmicky to me. I really don't need that in a car, but it is sort of nice to have. The GPS in the middle also turns on the backup camera when you put it in reverse, and it has a 360-degree view of what's around you. So there's little cameras placed all around the car that actually then make up a bird's eye sort of view, so you can see the actual ground to the left of you, to the right of you, in front of you, and behind you, which is really interesting. It's very space agey and actually very helpful. So along with the regular backup camera, you actually get a 360-degree view of what's around you, which is nice if you're trying to back up and not run over your neighbor's lawn, or if there's toys on the ground from your kids or whatever. It's very nice to have. So what's interesting to me is that I was doing a little bit of research before I did this review, and what's interesting is that this car is only $43,000 starting, and that's even for the 2018 version. $43,000 seems like a lot less than I would have thought it to be. I honestly would have put this car at probably about $50,000, and I know a $7,000 difference isn't much, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Infiniti is a luxury brand. They're made to compete with BMW and Lexus and that sort of thing, but they're not as pricey as I would have thought. Granted, I don't have $43,000 to spend on an SUV, but for the amount of gadgets and gizmos you get, I'm not mad about the price. I'm really not. Now, I talked about this when I reviewed the Q50, and I'm going to talk about it again with this because they look similar, and that is the fact that I love the look of them. I love the look of this SUV. It looks great. It's aggressive. It's new. It's fresh. Infinitis from the 2000s, I'm not the biggest fan of. They're more blobby, but this is more harder lines. The hood has that hard line, and the color is graphite shadow, and it actually has a lot of flake in it. It looks really good, and that's to be expected out of an Infiniti, a luxury brand. They have good paint, they look good, but I mean, really, this is a good look. Now, Infiniti also makes that weird crossover. Don't like the look of that, but this and the Q50, they look really good in my opinion. The other nice thing that I didn't really realize until I got the car to review was that it had a third row seat. It has 3 rows of seating, and the only other car I've reviewed like that was the Dodge Durango. And granted, those are very different. Dodge Durango is a lot more basic, everyday, everyman's sort of car, while this is a little bit more pricier and a little bit more luxurious. But I have to say, it's nice having that third row. It's nice having that capability of, if you need to throw 4 friends in the back along with you and your significant other or another friend or a dog or whatever, you can do that. You have room to do that. And of course, those rear seats do fold down in case you wanted to open that up to cargo space, because with the seats up, it's really pressed for cargo space. You know what? No, I take that back. I also reviewed a Chrysler Pacifica, I just remembered, because one just drove by. And basically, I would prefer walking over taking a Chrysler Pacifica, so that's not even in the question. Again, I feel like the biggest thing with this car, and obviously what I've been talking about this whole review, is just how loaded it is with technology. It's a 2017. It's on the cusp of the new of the new, and it's really truly impressive. The 360-degree camera's great. The air-conditioned seats are amazing. They feel great. The power seatbelt's a weird gimmicky sort of thing, but it's cool. Everywhere I look in here, there's another gadget, there's another gizmo, there's another feature, there's something to help the driver out, and that's nice to have. That's nice to say, oh, boom, boom, boom. So the last thing about this review, and actually the reason I'm doing this review is because David, who owned the Q50 that I reviewed, unfortunately was in an accident, and that Q50 was totaled before the video even came out, and I'll show some video and pictures here. And that just goes to speak about how good the safety standards of Infinitis are. He was hit at nearly 50 miles an hour. He was at a stop, and someone not paying attention, unfortunately, ran into the back of his Q50, and as you can see, totaled it. And what's really shocking to me is that David was nearly unhurt. He has a slight neck injury. Of course, he's sore and bruised, but that Infiniti, quite frankly, saved his life, and I'm very thankful for that. That's why this car is so special to me, and that's why this review is so special to me, because doing this review means that David is all right, that he's up and around, that he's driving, that yes, his car was wrecked, but that he's able to drive another, and because of their safety standards and how well that they're built, there's another car enthusiast and another friend of mine who's still alive today. So thank you, Infiniti. I genuinely appreciate your vehicles. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something about the 2017 Infiniti QX60. But again, hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys. Here goes a sight from my soul.